AITA for not punishing my daughter for mocking her cousin. My wife and her younger sister are best friends. As a result, when our middle daughter and her cousin were born around the same time, my wife really expected them to also be best friends. With 16 years of hindsight, I can say with certainty that the expectation was misplaced. Nothing happened in particular. My daughter just doesn't like her cousin. My wife keeps pushing the relationship. This includes making my daughter spend time with her cousin during family gatherings, inviting her cousin on trips, forcing my daughter to call her. We're pretty sure I'm the favorite parent, a fact that keeps my ego well inflated, and, therefore, my apathy towards the situation is not well received by my wife. From my perspective, this isn't important, and I do not possess the ability to make two teenagers become friends. I'm also pretty sure that trying to push this kind of knuckle-headed stuff makes kids not want to speak to you. This is where I'm probably an asshole. Yesterday, my wife forced my daughter to video call her cousin. My daughter rejected the request, and my wife told her, unless you have a valid reason for disliking your cousin, you will do this because we're family. Call occurred. This morning, we awoke to a PowerPoint presentation titled Valid Reasons to Dislike Cousin / using clips from the Zoom call. Segments included whys, cousin '(s) / voice so grating, a music theory approach, a case study, conversations that provide no value, rethinking the idea that there are no dumb questions, ect. With the benefit of a couple of hours of hindsight, it was a very cruel takedown of her cousin's entire personality. My wife was furious. My eldest daughter and I lost our shit laughing. My wife is demanding I support her in punishing my daughter for bullying her cousin. I have refused because I feel this whole situation wouldn't have occurred if she didn't push the relationship, but I'm starting to have second thoughts because it was very mean. NTA. Unless your daughter sent this presentation to her cousin, or shared it with anybody else, it isn't bullying. What is she to be punished for? Doing what your wife asked and gave reasons for why she dislikes her cousin? Having no chemistry / a dislike for another person and not wanting to spend her time on that person? Having an opinion that differs from her mother's? Talk to your daughter and make sure her presentation is deleted, as it would be terrible should others get their hands on it. Your daughter is almost an adult and your wife is pushing her away with her demands. BTW, your daughter sounds wonderful, your wife not so much. Info: did the cousin see the presentation? God no. NTA. Your wife is TA for forcing a 16-year-old to spend time with someone she doesn't like. The 16-year-old's response to your wife, "She didn't tell the cousin this, I presume," is as hilarious as it is the fault of the adults forcing their relationship. I'm also not convinced that the cousin is down with this either, considering that the daughter is so clearly unhappy with spending time with her. Seriously, my 16-year-old self would have thrown a hissy and stomped around. This kid is clever as all get out. She put together her thoughts in a concise and organized way. NTA. I'd also just like to say, I feel incredibly bad about laughing. She just started with a music theory lecture about some special discordant chord. Then, she had a video of the chord that immediately went into a Zoom clip of her cousin producing the same notes. I just couldn't hold it in. Tell her I'm impressed and like her more. There is only one thing you need to now do: delete that PowerPoint and never tell. Think of it as a family secret. AITA? I found out my sister is pretending to be my daughter's mother. When my 27F fiance and I first announced my pregnancy to my family, my sister, 34F, was a little jealous. I'm assuming it's because she was trying for a baby with her ex-partner, but they broke up because he was a cheat. I gave birth to my daughter 7 months ago. Her name is Kaya. When I returned to work after 12 weeks of maternity leave, my sister offered to babysit Kaya once a week, which has been incredibly helpful. Not too long ago, one of my close friends who also recently had a child approached me to tell me that my sister is in a mother's group on Facebook and she's posting photos of Kaya and she's calling my daughter hers and she's also calling her by a different name. My friend sent me screenshots of my sister's posts and I was completely disturbed, so I spoke to my fiance and we both decided we had to take action immediately. I went over to my sister's and asked her directly about what she was posting on Facebook. She did not deny it and also had no explanation. Therefore I told her that she's banned from seeing my daughter. My sister flipped out and said that I can't take Kai away from her and then called me a selfish TCH, and she started crying. I have never seen my sister act this was before. It was alarming. I asked her if there's anything else I need to know because she may as well just spill everything, so she shows me a framed photo she has in her bedroom of her and my daughter, and on the frame is written mother and daughter. I'm not going to lie, I did call her crazy and then I left and haven't spoken to her since, although she continues to try and come over and calls me multiple times a day. My mind is an absolute mess. I don't know where we go from here. AITA for how I handle the situation. NTA, absolutely. Get your kid and yourself away from her. Sounds like she has some deep, unresolved issues that only a specialist can help her with. NTA at all. You need to protect your daughter. Your sister needs some serious help. What she is doing is not healthy at all. You could try telling her that she can see your daughter only after she gets into therapy. And I'd also have a chat with their parents too. This sounds incredibly unhealthy and problematic, and can only get worse if left untreated. NTA, but it sounds like your sister has some serious psychological issues and needs professional help ASAP. It will probably be safer for everyone to keep your daughter away from her, and you may want to install a home security system as well as inform any other caregivers that your sister does not have privileges regarding being around her. This type of thing is a huge red flag for mental health issues. If you can, you may want to encourage her to get help. NTA, get your sister some help. Employ your parents if they're around to help, and any other family members. Do not let your sister see your daughter. Your sister needs help, serious help. This is the sort of thing that evolves into something worse if allowed to fester. How terrifying to find someone else, especially your family, claiming your child for themselves. You did the right thing! Exclamation mark. AITA for being too honest about why I don't drink. I'm 33 and I had a serious drinking problem since a young age. My dad was an alcoholic, so booze never lacked in our house. It nearly killed me when I was only 27 and was in the ER for alcohol poisoning. It was too close a call, and after that things had to change. With my wife's support, I went to rehab, and proud to say I've been sober 5.5 years. My flatmate invited our friends over yesterday. It was 7 of us in total, including his friend, Mark. I've met Mark maybe 3 to 4 times over the last 2 years, and while we're friendly I honestly don't know him that well. But you can tell he's a party guy. Likes to get loud, take shots, makes gross comments sometimes, etc. Mark brought several cases of beer and a bottle of tequila with him, so everyone was drinking and having a good time. Mark kept offering me drinks the entire night, which I'd politely decline. It's like he made it his personal mission to get me to drink by egging me on, saying every time he sees me I'm either drinking a soda/water and it's okay to let loose sometimes. He resorted to teasing me into drinking, calling me princess. I don't know what that had to do with not wanting to drink. All my friends there knew what I was like before, how bad my drinking was, so they kept trying to steer the conversation so he'd forget about me. But every now and then he'd hand me a shot glass or a beer and would not let it go even after telling him yet again that I didn't want to drink. My wife became uncomfortable with his behavior. I think she was worried I'd actually drink. She grabbed the shot glass from me, dumped it in the sink and told him to stop it already. He looked between us and grinned like he understood now. Mark joked that maybe we should get my wife drunk first, then that'll get her to loosen up the leash she has on me. I'll admit, that made me see red. I got in his face and told him, Actually I don't drink because last time I did I almost f***ing died, so unless you want me puking everywhere and having seizures you should shut up and leave my wife out of this. Wiped the smile off him real quick and he apologized. The rest of night went on and he finally left me alone. Our flatmate did confront me in the morning because he thinks I was too honest with Mark and it wasn't his fault, he didn't know. He was just joking around and I made him feel bad. Our other friends agree he was being too pushy and deserved being told off. My wife agrees, so he's the only one right now that's taking Mark's side. He said I could have ignored him until he gave up instead of bringing up an uncomfortable truth from my past. Now yes, I could have just told Mark the truth without full details, but felt that's none of his business and a no should have been enough. I only got carried away when he decided to include my wife in his jokes. So yes, I am wondering if I was a bit of an a-hole for what I told him instead of keeping the peace. NTA. How has Mark and your flatmate not realized that no means no? You should not have had to keep declining once you said no the first time, and you didn't owe him or anyone else an explanation. He crossed several lines and you responded by being blunt, which was the obviously only way to get him to stop. Seriously, I got some major assault Y vibes from reading how pushy Mark was in this situation. What a creep. NTA. The first time he called you a princess or tried to push alcohol on you, he was a bit of an asshole. When he continued to push alcohol on you after that point, he graduated to being a proper asshole. Ultimately, by that point, if he didn't get the hint that you didn't want to drink, then the only way you were going to get through to him was by going completely overkill to get a proper reaction out of him. Anything less, he would have just continued brushing off and ignoring. Honestly, where were you friends in this? If I'd have been a mutual friend, I'd have pulled him aside for a quiet word. NTA. The only person who made Mark look bad was Mark, and he should be embarrassed by his behavior. My partner is an ex-alcoholic and I have never heard her have to explain more than, "No thanks, I don't drink." It's common decency to just back off if someone says no to alcohol / cigarettes / drugs / anything. Op's flatmate said he could have just ignored Mark, but that's exactly what Op did, repeatedly, and Mark kept pushing it. Op's response was completely reasonable. NTA. No is a full sentence. Mark was being pushy and an asshole. Peer pressure isn't cute when you're teenagers, and it's especially ridiculous as adults. He disrespected you by badgering you to drink, and he disrespected your wife. No one needs a reason to not do something, but since Mark clearly wasn't going to stop pushing you, you were well within the right to tell him exactly why you didn't want to drink. So, it's basic courtesy not to push someone to drink. They could be pregnant, they could be on medication, they could be an alcoholic, they could be driving, etc., and even if they weren't and just didn't feel like it, they don't want to. Mark is the R and Op is NTA, at all.